Your Royal Highness, Minister, Secretary General, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would thank you for the organizer inviting me such an elegant and fantastic venue as fashion show style setup. I'm a little nervous since this is quite a different setup from what I normally stand. It is normally only very brave or foolish people who offer prediction with any certainty, especially when it comes to the industry such as shipping, where events move quickly and markets are volatile. In my capacity as the chairman of the International Chamber of Shipping, I've been asked by the organizer to look ahead only for the next 2 to 5 years, so I probably don't need to be too brave. As everyone knows, we are in the middle of an extremely serious downturn in shipping. Despite this, it is important to remain positive and optimistic. We are ship owners after all. But it is probably unlikely that for most sectors and trade, much will have fundamentally changed before 2015 or 2016. However, the decision taken now, both by ship owners and regulators, will determine whether we are at the end of the beginning of our difficulties or whether, as I hope, we are at the beginning of the end. As ship owners, we must always focus upon those things that we can actually control, which means companies focusing on their own profitability. It might be useful to call this sustainability, but we must also anticipate the impact of those things beyond our influence, but which can nevertheless profoundly affect our bottom line. These obviously include major geopolitical events such as war or the possibility of some further major crisis in the banking sector. However, this also includes subtle but important shift in the government policies. We must think carefully about the future attitude of the United States towards the export of energy following the rapid expansion of shale gas extractions, or the extent to which the authorities in China choose to place more emphasis on increasing domestic consumer demand rather than focusing on building new infrastructure or producing cheap goods for the rest of the world. I believe a significant milestone was reached in China recently when the contribution to GDP of domestic services within the Chinese economy for the first time overtook the value of manufacturing and industry. This is a trend which we must watch over the next 5 years. It may mean that some industrial production will shift around Southeast Asia or else move to Mexico and further into Latin America, while some may even move back to the nations within the OECD, especially if differences in the wages levels continue to decrease. Ignoring any unexpected surprise, the world economy as a whole, and thus the demand for the maritime services, will continue to grow. The recovery of the United States economy will hopefully continue, and the demand from China for maritime services will continue to expand, though perhaps at a slower rate, and with international operators facing increasing competition from Chinese carriers. Intra-Asia trade, whose significance is often overlooked, should continue to remain healthy, and niche market will continue to present opportunities elsewhere. So major question mark is probably over Europe due to the uncertainty about the future of the euro and the political debate about the best means of returning EU to growth. I recognize that this is all information that can be derived from the newspapers. I said that I do not want my prediction to look either rash or foolish. However, it is important to remember that despite our problems, for the most part, the world economy continues to grow. But I now wish to focus on the things that we can either control or at least try to influence. The principal cause of the current downturn in shipping, of course, is that there are too many ships chasing too few cargoes. It will probably be several years until balance is fully restored after what has already been 5 long years of the crisis. Unless something very unexpected happens, it is unlikely that a lasting recovery in the freight rate will begin in earnest in the immediate future. Market forces will no doubt find a solution, which will almost certainly involve large number of the ships going to the recycling yard much earlier than their owners had originally planned. But in order to avoid prolonging the downturn, it is also important that ship owners take sensible and considered decisions now about ordering new tonnages. Shipyards that have similar overcapacity problems are offering cut-price ships. What might be in the rational interest of individual ship owners might not always be good for the collective health of the industry as a whole. The influence which organizations like ICS can bring to bear on such a fundamental question is, of course, very limited. But we must not be afraid to draw attention to this dilemma. The primary function of ICS as a principal international trade association is to engage with shipping industry's regulators, especially the IMO and its member states. As many companies struggle to survive during the difficult years ahead, we must persuade government to avoid placing yet more straws that risk breaking the ship owner's back. And the straws to which I refer are the impending cost of environmental legislation. ICS calculates this is an additional industry-wide cost of $500 billion between 2015 and 2025. This is around $50 billion of additional capital and operating cost in every single year for a 10-year period and beyond. The imminent shift to vastly more expensive low sulfur distillate fuel is a very serious concern, which is compounded by worries about adequacy of supply and the dangers of modal shift. Another pressing consideration is the cost associated with installing very expensive new ballast water treatment equipment, especially given outstanding questions on the implementation of new global rules, which still needs to be resolved at the IMO. The key message which ICS has therefore been communicating to regulators has been the need for the greater focus to be given to the economic sustainability of shipping, backed by evidence of the years of continuous improvement of the shipping's environmental performance. Many of the expensive environmental regulations that are about to enter into force were conceived in a different world at a time when shipping markets were booming and finance for retrofitting has not dried up. The protection of the environment must always remain a priority for the industries, but prevailing economic situation requires that a degree of pragmatism is applied to enforcement as plethora of a new environmental regulation is implemented. Unless this is understood, there is a danger of creating real barriers to investment in our industry as we hopefully move closer to recovery. I hope these remarks are helpful, and I look forward to the rest of the discussion. Thank you very much.